Here is just to kind of expand on that. With the bucket elevator, the big key is understanding how quickly your RPMs are. How many CFM should we be using? PAMI kindly let me use their interim research update data. So this is 1 year's data from their supplemental heating trials. This is a plot of wheat, and we've got various moisture contents here, and it basically shows the rate that the wheat was drying versus days of drying. Now here's the first trial. They just used a very low rate of 0.25 CFM per bushel. You can see that the darker blue is with supplemental heat, and the light blue is just with ambient air. And at that low rate, there really was very little drying. After 14 days, they actually increased the airflow rate up to 1.5 CFM per bushel, and you can see that instantly both the natural air drying in the light, and even more so the supplemental heating scenario instantly resulted in significant drying. I'll also add that the supplemental heat system they use is a delta T, so they add 10 degrees Celsius to the ambient. With our systems, I kind of like to just set my air temp at 30 degrees Celsius, and the reason, I guess, or the logic behind that is I see a 30-degree day as an ideal harvest day, and I just want to get as many BTUs in there as quickly as possible to get the job done. Here's a second trial at a half a CFM per bushel. This is the orange. Dark orange is with supplemental heat, and the light orange is ambient. And again, you can see that ultimately at the end of 19 days, we were down to about 16.5, and we started at about 17.5. And the last trial was 1 CFM per bushel. And again, it just is a step change of increased water removal with supplemental heat. This dark green line is significantly lower. The light green line isn't as aggressive, so you can see how the supplemental heat is helping. And now we're at about 14.5. So generally, very generally speaking, you double the airflow and you double the water removal rate. So airflow is critical. You also see here this 1 CFM per bushel, which is our guideline, and that guideline has really was generated from PAMI and from their recommendations. It is a really solid, I think, benchmark for when you are doing your in-bin drying. Here's some canola trials. One thing to point out on these trials is they did turn the supplemental heat off. You'll notice there's some strange anomalies here. They did that at about day 10. Here the half a CFM per bushel airflow. You can see the light blue and the dark blue is with supplemental heat. We went from about 13 down to just a little over 11, so we got about 2 points of removal with a half a CFM. We moved to 1 CFM and we got about twice that. We got about 4 points removal. And if you go to 2 CFM per bushel, you can see a super steep decline. And again, you double it again. So it really reconfirms that airflow, it's that simple. The more airflow, the more water you're going to take out of your bin. One interesting thing here to see is after they turned off the supplemental heat, you can see they were down as low as below 5. So this canola got quite a bit over dried, but it does re-wet by running the fan, and that is the re-wetting really is a function of how dry it is. The drier it is, the quicker it will re-wet.